Hi, I'm Snez, personal trainer, healthy lifestyle coach, and your guide to feeling your best. This podcast is a segment from my weekly radio show, Wellbeing Wednesdays, broadcast live on 88.6 Plenty Valley FM. It's all about sharing real, practical tips to help you move more, eat better, and live healthier without the overwhelm. Let's dive in, shall we? Now, this segment is one I'm super excited to dive into because it brings together two really important areas of health that we don't often connect, and that's your bones and your brain. And this was sparked by a really fantastic episode. Thank you, Rowan, who sent this link to me on Diary of a CEO podcast with Dr. Vonda Wright, who is an orthopedic surgeon and longevity expert. And it was really quite valuable. I am going to post it in the Wellbeing Wednesdays with Snez, the Facebook group. So go and grab that link and have a listen to it. But what she said really made me stop and think, because we often hear about keeping our brains sharp as we get older, doing puzzles, learning new things, eating well, and separately we're told to look after our bones. Get your calcium in, do some weight-bearing exercise. But what was really interesting is that our bones actually play an active role in our brain health. And this is this new information. We're learning so much about our bodies at the moment. There's some fantastic information out there. And this podcast was just so inspiring on this topic. And what I sort of come away with is that bones aren't just structural, like scaffolding, keeping us up. It's not just a skeleton that kind of gives us shape, but they're actually, our bones are dynamic, living tissues that are metabolically active. And what that basically means is that they're constantly talking to the rest of your body. And this is what I'm really enjoying about some of this new information that we're hearing now, is that oftentimes we see the heart as something different, the brain as something different. Now we're seeing this interconnection that is just so important, and how everything's clearly interconnected, and how you can, have some issues with your toes and then feel it in your shoulder and things like that. So the ways that the bone does this is by releasing a protein called osteocalcin. And osteocalcin has been shown to be quite positive in the brain. So it helps to protect brain cells from oxidative stress, which is like wear and tear inside your brain. It also plays a role in forming new memories. It also boosts learning and mental sharpness. Now, this ostalin production slows down as we age unless we actively maintain our healthy bones. Now, the research was really interesting, and it blew me away because it completely reframes how we think about our bone health, not just as a way to avoid breaks and injuries, through falls, but also as something that's going to help to keep our brain functioning at its best. So if you've been putting off strength training or skipping calcium, hopefully this is a new reason to prioritize it, because you're not just thinking about creating strong bones, which is going to, help you to not fracture or break a bone if you happen to fall, but it is contributing quite positively to your cognitive function as you get older, which is just so valuable and so important to know. And the reality is that for women, it's really quite interesting. This was a statistic that kind of shocked me a little bit, but more than 50% of women over 50 will experience low bone density or osteoporosis. And one of the biggest concerns with low bone health and osteoporosis is hip fractures. And they're not just painful, but they often can be life-altering and life-threatening as well, because a broken hip can mean months of recovery, a loss of independence, but also the increased risk of complications. But now that we are seeing this link, we also know that 50% of women who are going to experience low bone density are also going to have cognitive decline as we age as well as a result of this low bone density. So super important to start to make some changes. And what's interesting is that at any age, you can lay down new bone and you can also increase your muscle mass, because there's another correlation with bone health is an increase in muscle mass. The stronger our muscles are, the more bone density we have. There's a direct link. So it's really important to start to think about not only strengthening our bones through calcium, but strengthening our bones through physical activity and strength training to be able to look after our cognitive health as we get older. Now we're going to go into some practical strategies about what you can do, especially if you're a woman over the age of 40 or 50. Now, this relates to both men and women. It's just that women are at a greater risk of low bone density in their late 40s and 50s and beyond because of the drop in estrogen levels at that time. Now, some of the things that you can do is resistance training. Now, you've heard me say this before. I'm a huge advocate of strength training, and as I get older, that love and passion for strength training just seems to strengthen for me because of the numerous benefits that I am now hearing about, but also that I'm experiencing myself. So if you're not doing some form of strength training, now is the time to do it. And you will receive benefits regardless of when you get started. I've had a member just recently start and he's 88. And we're starting with some very light strength training, but he's already starting to experience himself with more energy levels, being able to do more. So the body will adapt and respond at any age. And that is the really exciting, I think, take-home message, is that it's never too late. Even if you are in a situation where you are carrying injuries or you feel like you are becoming more sedentary as a result of lack of strength, you still can turn that around, even with chair-related strength exercises. So you don't need to go into a formal gym. There's things that you can do at home. The only thing is just to make sure that techniques are performed correctly. So maybe getting some help with that, or watching a video that can talk you through the different techniques, but just getting some help with that so that you don't hurt yourself or do an incorrect movement. But what we want to do is we want to focus on 2 to 3 days a week of strength training. And remembering, when I say strength training, it's not about showing up at the local gym or getting a personal trainer, although that would be fabulous, but there is things that you can do at home day to day. So things such as squats, and with a squat, it's basically getting up and down off the chair. Even doing that 8 to 10 times, 2 or 3 times a day, is going to strengthen not only the muscles in your legs, but it's also going to put enough pressure on those bones to strengthen the bones. But things such as push-ups, whether that be on a kitchen bench, you can do any form of weight that you may have at home. If you've got some small dumbbells or a brick or a can of food, and just do shoulder presses or a rowing action. You can use bands, you can use towels, tea towels even, while you're waiting for something to cook. There's a lot that you can do. So 2 to 3 times a week, and it's just about putting a load on the muscles to strengthen muscles and therefore put pressure through the bones, which the bones will then respond by absorbing calcium and filling in that porous bone and making it denser. You want to also make sure that you prioritize your protein. So protein isn't just for the young ones going to the gym, trying to build huge muscles, but your bones need it too. So you need to make sure that you are aiming for protein at each of your main meals, but I'm also going to push you and say also at snacks as well. So anything meat related, fish, chicken, tofu, any of the legumes, whether that be red lentils, mung beans, chickpeas, brown lentils, is all going to count, as well as eggs and some dairy products as well. Not getting enough protein is one of the biggest mistakes that I see in trying to keep our bone density up and our muscle mass up as well. There is a very strong link. So you need to start to include those things in there as well. Also getting the right nutrients. So everyone's talking about calcium and vitamin D, but also you need to get things like magnesium, vitamin K, and your omega-3s, those healthy fats. These nutrients all work together to keep your bones strong. So if you're not sure, you can definitely ask your GP or dietitian if you've got access to someone just to give you some more information. The other thing is just to know where you're at. So getting a bone scan or a DEXA scan. If you're over the age of 50 or you've got a family history, you can ask your doctor about a scan. It's simple, it's painless, and it can give you a really clear picture of where you're at the moment. Because the thing is that firstly, we want to know where we're at. And if we've got really good bone health, then great. We want to be doing things that are going to maintain that. Because as I said to you, it's not just about falls prevention and keeping ourselves physically strong. It's also about this cognitive health that we are now starting to understand that bones contribute to. But by doing the DEXA scan, we can get a really clear picture of, okay, where are we at today? Do we need to take some immediate action? So you don't want to be living with the start of osteopenia. We want to know well in advance of that. And the earlier we have a reference point, the better it is going to be. And so once we know what that is, then we can start to act accordingly. So if it is quite low when you do a scan, then you know you need to throw yourself into some more important actions and maybe chat to your GP and just get some steps that you can take. And definitely starting to include the strength training into your week. But if you know you're at a certain level, then you can aim to review that or to make some changes and just see what the impact of that is. So for many of us, we all know that we need to do the right things for our bodies, but our bones really need to be part of the longevity plan too. And there's a lot of attention and focus on all aspects of health, which is so awesome. But in particular, there is a real focus on muscle mass at the moment, which inevitably will contribute to bone health. But let's start having the conversation around bones because they are a really big part of our longevity. So I'll be sharing some of those links. So you can jump onto Wellbeing Wednesdays with Snez, the Facebook group, and I will post that talk with Dr. Wright. It was a really great talk and more than anything gives you education, but also the inspiration. Now, I'm very active, and even after listening to that, I was like, I really need to get into this. And I was chatting to my husband like, you really need to get into this. And we also know that the ages of between 20 and 30 and 30 and 40 are a really important time to strengthen those bones and really lay down some nice bone density through resistance training and through impact type of activities. So really this is a conversation that needs to be had, you know, from our kids all the way through our adult lives. Women, especially having children and breastfeeding, it's definitely an important conversation because bone health does significantly decrease during that period of time. And these are all the questions that we should be asking. So if bone health isn't something that you've explored or know enough about, start asking the question, start reading a little bit more about it and do what you need to do to look after your bones as you age. Thanks for joining me on this segment from Wellbeing Wednesdays as heard live on 88.6 Plenty Valley FM. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with someone who might find it helpful and subscribe so you never miss a show. Want to catch the live broadcast? Well, you can tune in Wednesdays from 12 till 2 p.m. on 88.6 Plenty Valley FM or find my info on Wellbeing Wednesdays with Snez, the Facebook group. Take care, stay healthy, and remember, it's the little choices every day that create big changes. Talk soon.